You don't lack opportunity as much as you lack the attitude that can recognize it, seize it, and multiply it. That may sting, but it is the truth that saves years. Your attitude is the window to your success. If the window is dirty, the light can be shining and you still live in dimness. If the window is clear, even a small light becomes enough to guide you forward. You can blame circumstances all your life, but circumstances are not the deciding factor. The mind decides what you notice, what you attempt, what you endure, and what you quit. Your attitude is not a smile. It is not decoration. It is the mental posture you carry into every moment. It is the voice inside you that interprets events all day long. That voice either turns life into instruction or turns life into insult. It either makes you stronger or makes you bitter. It either produces action or produces excuses. You are living today inside the results of yesterday's attitude, whether you admit it or not. Two men can face the same economy, the same rejection, the same pressure, the same delays, and one rises while the other stays trapped. The difference is rarely talent. The difference is not always intelligence. The difference is how the mind interprets what happens. One mind says, "This is proof it won't work," and shuts down. The other mind says, "This is feedback," and adjusts. The first mind becomes a complainer. The second becomes a builder. Builders are rewarded because builders create value. Complainers are avoided because complainers create friction. Your attitude decides what you see. A fearful attitude sees risk everywhere and opportunity nowhere. A bitter attitude sees injustice everywhere and responsibility nowhere. A lazy attitude sees difficulty everywhere and discipline nowhere. A disciplined attitude sees steps. It sees methods. It sees cause and effect. It sees that every problem can be broken down and handled. That is what you must learn. Your attitude is not a feeling you endure. It is a tool you use. Most people let circumstances set their mood. A harsh word ruins their day. A delay turns them negative. A criticism makes them angry. A setback makes them quit. They live like leaves in the wind, then wonder why they can't build anything solid. A leaf cannot build. A builder must be rooted. Rootedness is attitude discipline. It is the ability to choose your response instead of being controlled by your reaction. The first step is to stop thinking your attitude is just how you are. That is an excuse. Attitude is trained. You trained your current attitude through repetition, repeated thoughts, repeated phrases, repeated interpretations. If you trained it, you can retrain it. But you must stop lying to yourself about what's happening. Your attitude has been costing you money, time, relationships, and peace. Every time you interpret a setback as humiliation, you weaken. Every time you interpret delay as denial, you drift. Every time you interpret criticism as attack, you become defensive. Defensive men don't grow. They protect their ego. Ego protection is a slow death. So you must replace ego with ownership. Ownership is the attitude of power. Ownership says, "This is my responsibility." It does not mean you blame yourself for everything. It means you focus on what you can control. You stop wasting energy arguing with reality. You ask one question that makes you dangerous. What is the next step? That question turns pain into progress. It turns confusion into plan. It turns fear into action. Now you must confront the biggest poison in attitude, complaining. Complaining feels like release, but it is leakage. It leaks power. It trains helplessness. A man who complains daily trains his mind to expect defeat. Then he starts behaving like defeat is normal. He becomes slow, hesitant, and cynical. Cynicism is the final stage of a dirty window because it blocks all light. The cynical man doesn't even try. He protects himself from disappointment by choosing no ambition. That is not intelligence. That is cowardice disguised as realism. So adopt a new rule. No complaining without correction. If you speak a complaint, you attach an action. This is not working, so I will change this. If there is no action, stop speaking. This rule will change your life because it forces the mind to become productive. It turns negativity into strategy. Strategy is the language of winners. Another poison is comparison. Comparison makes you hurry. Hurry makes you sloppy. Sloppy work destroys trust. Trust is what opens doors. So comparison doesn't just hurt your feelings. It harms your future. You stop measuring your life against another man's pace. You measure your life against your own standard. Did you do the work today? Did you improve today? Did you keep your word today? Did you correct your weakness today? That is the only scoreboard that matters. Now we talk about fear. Fear is not the enemy. Being ruled by fear is. Fear is a signal that you are approaching growth. The wrong attitude treats fear as a stop sign. The right attitude treats fear as a sign to prepare and then act. Courage is not loud. Courage is quiet obedience to purpose, while fear talks. The man who waits for fear to vanish never moves. The man who moves while fear is present becomes free. Freedom is not doing what you want. Freedom is doing what you decide. Your attitude also controls your patience. An impatient attitude demands instant reward. Instant reward rarely creates lasting success. Lasting success is built through repetition and time. The impatient man keeps digging up the seed to see if it grew. He kills the growth with his own hands. The patient man waters, protects, and continues working. He measures progress by adherence to the process, not by applause. That attitude keeps him consistent. Consistency creates compounding. Compounding creates outcomes that look like luck to those who don't understand the law. Now, your attitude must become anchored in purpose. Without purpose, your mind wanders. A wandering mind is an open house. Any worry can enter. Any distraction can enter. Any opinion can enter. Then you become unstable. Unstable men are easily controlled by circumstance. Purpose closes the doors. Purpose gives your mind a target. A target gathers your attention. Attention focused becomes power. Power applied becomes success. So you write your purpose in one clear sentence, not vague, clear. What do you want to build? What value do you want to produce? Who do you want to serve? Then you build daily behavior around it. This is where attitude becomes real. Attitude is not what you say. Attitude is what you do consistently. Now you must clean your inner speech. Your inner speech is your daily instruction manual. If you tell yourself, I'm behind, you will act behind. If you tell yourself, nothing works for me, you will stop trying new methods. If you tell yourself, it's too late, you will move with weakness. These phrases are not harmless. They are commands. The subconscious mind obeys repetition. So you must change the command. When a setback happens, you do not say, this always happens. You say, this happened. What do I change? When rejection comes, you do not say, I'm not good enough. You say, what do I improve? When delay appears, you do not say, life is against me. You say, what is this training in me? That shift is not optimism. That shift is power. Power comes from interpretation that produces action. And action is the proof that your attitude is clean. A clean attitude produces movement. It produces disciplined behavior. It produces calm responses. It produces resilience. A dirty attitude produces excuses, blame, and delay. You know which one you have by what your days look like. So here is the daily practice that cleans the window. You start each day by choosing your posture before the world tries to choose it for you. You decide that you will respond, not react. You decide that you will look for the next step, not the next excuse. You decide that you will practice gratitude instead of bitterness. Gratitude is not softness. Gratitude is mental strength because it prevents resentment from poisoning your vision. A resentful man cannot see opportunity clearly. He is too busy arguing with the past. Then you prove your attitude with one action: a kept promise, a finished task, a focused work block, an act of restraint, a correction you make immediately instead of postponing. Your attitude becomes believable when it is backed by behavior. Without behavior, attitude talk is just talk. Your attitude will be tested. It will be tested through inconvenience, rejection, slow results, and criticism. These tests are not meant to break you. They are meant to reveal you. When you pass them, your mind becomes stronger. A stronger mind creates a stronger life because it makes stronger choices. So understand this clearly. Success is not only something you earn outside yourself, it is something you allow inside yourself. You allow it by cleaning the window, by choosing ownership over blame, correction over complaint, patience over panic, purpose over drift, and discipline over mood. Do this long enough and you will not have to search for success. You will start seeing it where you used to miss it, and you will be strong enough to hold it when it arrives. Your attitude is proven when pressure arrives. Anybody can speak confidently when life is smooth. The test is what you do when the day resists you, when money feels tight, when people doubt you, when results are slow, when your body is tired, when your plan is interrupted. That is where your attitude becomes either a weapon or a weakness. And if you want success, you must stop treating attitude like a decoration and start treating it like discipline, something you train daily until it holds under weight. So here is the first law you must accept. Your attitude determines your actions, and your actions determine your results. This is why you cannot separate attitude from success. A lazy attitude produces lazy action. A bitter attitude produces self-sabotage. A fearful attitude produces hesitation. A disciplined attitude produces execution. Execution is what moves your life forward. You can have the best plan in the world and still lose if your attitude prevents you from executing it consistently. Plans don't build results. People do. And people are driven by the mental climate they live in. Now we will get practical. You must build an attitude system, not a feeling, not a motivational moment, a system. Systems are what keep you stable when emotions fluctuate. Most men fail because their minds are unmanaged. Their mood is set by whatever happens. They wake up optimistic, hear bad news, become negative, and then act negative. They are not leading themselves. They are being led. A man who is being led by circumstance is not in control of his future. If you want success, you must become the leader of your own mind. The first step in leading your mind is to control your interpretation. The same event can destroy one man and strengthen another. Why? Interpretation. One man sees rejection and thinks, I'm not good enough. The other thinks, I need a better method. One man sees delay and thinks, life is against me. The other thinks, this is training my patience and sharpening my plan. One man hears criticism and thinks, they're attacking me. The other thinks, what part of this is useful? That difference in interpretation determines whether the man becomes stronger or weaker after the event. So you must train a new default interpretation. Everything is feedback. Not everything is pleasant, but everything is usable if you have the right attitude. Even pain is usable if you extract its lesson instead of worshiping it. This is the difference between a man who grows and a man who becomes bitter. Bitter men replay the past. Builders convert the past into instruction. Converting the past is power. Replaying it is weakness. Now, your attitude system begins each morning with a choice. Before you interact with anyone, you decide your posture. You decide that you will be a builder today, not a complainer. You decide you will be disciplined today, not emotional. You decide you will look for solutions today, not excuses. This is not pretending the day is perfect. This is choosing the role you will play in the day. If you do not choose, the day will choose for you. And the day will choose the easiest role, a victim. Victim is easy because it removes responsibility. But victim is expensive because it removes power. So you choose responsibility. Responsibility is the attitude of success. Responsibility says, this is my job to handle. It doesn't mean you caused everything. It means you will not surrender control by blaming. Blame gives your power away. When you blame, you confess that someone else controls your outcome. A man who wants success does not confess helplessness. He confesses ownership. Now, once the day begins, your attitude must be protected by rules. Rules prevent emotional drift. Here are the rules you must enforce if you want your attitude to stay clean. First rule, no complaining without a correction. A complaint without a correction is weakness. It trains helplessness. It multiplies stress. If you complain, you must attach an action. This is wrong, so I will do this. If there is no action, stop talking. This rule will instantly reduce drama in your mind and increase clarity. Second rule, no decisions in anger. Anger is temporary, but the decisions made in anger often become permanent consequences. If you decide while angry, you will overreact. You will damage relationships, destroy trust, and create regret. Regret weakens attitude because it fills the mind with guilt and shame. So you pause. You wait. You breathe. You let reason return. Then you decide. Third rule, no spending in emotion. Emotional spending is a sign of a weak attitude because it seeks relief instead of control. It creates pressure later, and pressure makes you desperate. Desperate men make bad choices. If you want success, you must keep your money habits disciplined because money pressure is one of the fastest ways to destroy a strong attitude. Fourth rule, no comparison. Comparison is poison because it makes you rush. Rushing makes you sloppy. Sloppy work destroys confidence. Confidence is built by quality and follow-through. When you compare, you stop focusing on your own process. You start chasing someone else's pace. That wastes energy. You measure yourself only by your own standard. Did you do the work today? Did you improve today? Did you keep your word today? That is the real scoreboard. Fifth rule, no quitting on a bad day. Bad days happen. Quitting turns a bad day into a bad life. The right attitude is not "I never struggle." The right attitude is "I recover quickly." Recovery is the mark of a successful mind. You correct and return the next day. You do not let one slip become a surrender. Now, these rules are not suggestions. They are boundaries for your mind. Boundaries are what create stability. Stability is what allows you to build. Unstable men cannot build. They can start, but they cannot sustain. Sustaining is what creates success. Now, your attitude is also shaped by your self-talk. Your self-talk is the daily instruction you give your subconscious mind. If you speak to yourself like a loser, you will behave like one, not because you're cursed, but because the mind obeys repeated instruction. You must stop saying phrases that weaken you. I'm behind. I can't. It's too late. Nothing works. Those phrases become commands. The subconscious accepts them, and then it looks for proof. It finds proof because it directs your behavior toward failure. That is why negative self-talk becomes self-fulfilling. So replace it with builder talk. Builder talk is not fake positivity. It is operational language. What is the next step? What do I control today? What is the lesson here? How do I improve this? I will complete the essential. I will stay consistent. These phrases direct you toward action. Action produces results. Results reinforce belief. Belief strengthens attitude. That cycle is how success is built. Now, you must also manage your attention. A weak attitude is often just a distracted attitude. Distraction makes you scattered. Scattered effort produces weak results. Weak results create discouragement. Discouragement weakens attitude. This is a cycle. Break it by training focus. Focus is an attitude expressed through behavior. It is the decision to stay with one meaningful task until it is complete or until a set time block ends. Most men can't do this because their minds are trained on interruption. They bounce from thought to thought, task to task, and then wonder why nothing is finished. The disciplined attitude finishes. Finishing builds confidence. Confidence is not something you talk into existence. Confidence is the reward of finishing. If you want confidence, finish. If you want a strong attitude, finish. Finish tasks, finish conversations, finish commitments. Close loops. Unfinished loops create mental drag. Drag makes you feel behind. Feeling behind makes you anxious. Anxiety makes you complain and rush. That is the opposite of success. So build a closure habit. Every day close at least one loop you've been postponing. One task, one follow-up, one correction, one decision. That small habit reduces mental weight. A lighter mind is calmer. A calmer mind makes better decisions. Better decisions produce better outcomes. Again, attitude becomes success through cause and effect. Now, let's address the biggest attitude killer, bitterness. Bitterness is not strength. It is poison. It makes you interpret everything as unfair and everyone as an enemy. It keeps you trapped in the past. It turns your mind into a courtroom instead of a workshop. A bitter man cannot build because he is too busy arguing with reality. If you want success, you must kill bitterness. Not by pretending pain didn't happen, but by extracting the lesson and moving forward. Here is the discipline. When you remember a painful event, you immediately ask, what did it teach me? Then you write the lesson mentally, and you apply it. That converts the past into value. Value is power. If you keep replaying pain without extracting lessons, you are wasting it. Pain is expensive. Do not waste expensive experience. Use it. Now, gratitude is the antidote to bitterness, and gratitude is not softness. Gratitude is mental strength because it keeps your mind from collapsing into resentment. Resentment blinds you. Gratitude clarifies you. Gratitude allows you to see what resources you still have, what abilities you still possess, what options still exist. That clarity produces action. Bitter men don't act. They brood. Grateful men act. They build. So practice gratitude as a discipline. Each day, identify one advantage you have and use it. Not just, I'm thankful. Use it. If you have health, use it with disciplined effort. If you have time, invest it in skill. If you have knowledge, apply it. If you have relationships, strengthen them with integrity. Gratitude without action is sentiment. Gratitude with action is power. Now, you must also understand that attitude is influenced by environment. If you surround yourself with complainers, your mind will learn complaint. If you surround yourself with weak standards, your standards will weaken. If you surround yourself with gossip and negativity, your faith will erode. You cannot live in poison and expect strength. So you must choose your influences. Be selective about what conversations you stay in. Be selective about who you allow to shape your thinking. You don't need to fight anyone. You just need to protect your mind. The mind is like a garden. If you allow weeds, weeds grow. Weeds are fear, doubt, resentment, and laziness. If you want a strong garden, you remove weeds daily. That removal is attitude discipline. You catch negative thoughts and replace them. You catch excuses and correct them. You catch complaints and attach actions. You catch impulses and restrain them. This is daily maintenance. Maintenance is what makes attitude stable. Now, here is the final piece of this part. Your attitude must be tied to a purpose, or it will collapse under pressure. Purpose gives pain meaning. Meaning turns suffering into training. Without meaning, suffering becomes punishment, and punishment produces bitterness. A man with a clear purpose can endure more because he knows why he is enduring. A man without purpose collapses because he thinks pain is random. So you must keep your purpose in front of you daily. Not as a dream, as a command. The purpose tells you what to do when you don't feel like doing anything. It tells you what to refuse when temptation comes. It tells you what to endure when delay appears. Purpose is the anchor that keeps attitude from being swept away. This is how you build a success attitude. You choose ownership, enforce rules, control self-talk, train focus, close loops, kill bitterness, practice gratitude, protect environment, and stay anchored in purpose. None of this is mystical. It is discipline. It is self-government. And self-government is the beginning of all external success. If you do this, your life will change in a way you can measure. You will complain less and solve more. You will react less and plan more. You will finish more and drift less. You will become calmer, clearer, and more consistent. That consistency will start producing results, and those results will reinforce your attitude. That is the cycle of success. Attitude creates action, action creates results, results strengthen attitude. Keep the cycle clean, and success stops being a mystery. It becomes the natural outcome of a mind you finally learn to govern. Now you are ready for the hardest truth about attitude. It is revealed most clearly when you are alone, tired, disappointed, and unrecognized. In public, many men can act confident. They can put on manners. They can say the right things. But when no one is watching, the real attitude speaks. It speaks in what you allow yourself to do. It speaks in the excuses you accept. It speaks in how quickly you quit when discomfort rises. That private attitude becomes your destiny because private habits become public results. If you want success, you must win the private battle. You must govern your mind when nobody is forcing you to. So we go deeper. Your attitude is not just what you think. It is what you habitually believe about yourself and life. And those beliefs will either push you forward or keep you stuck. Some men carry a belief that success is scarce, that opportunity is for others, that life is unfair, that they are behind, that they are unlucky, that they are not chosen. That belief becomes a prison because it shapes their behavior. They hesitate. They avoid risk. They speak softly about their aims. They accept less than they should. They lower their standard to avoid disappointment. Then they call the results reality. It was not reality. It was belief in action. To change this, you must understand one law. The mind will always search for evidence to support what it repeatedly thinks. If you repeatedly think, I fail, your mind looks for proof and finds it. It notices every mistake. It ignores every win. It interprets neutral events as rejection. It magnifies delays. It turns small setbacks into big verdicts. That is why the wrong attitude feels like it is confirmed by life. It is not life confirming it. It is your mind filtering life through a dirty window. So you must clean the filter at the belief level, not with fantasies, with discipline. You do it by replacing weak beliefs with stronger beliefs and then proving them daily through action. Beliefs become real when they become behavior. Behavior becomes real when it becomes habit. Habit becomes identity. Identity becomes outcomes. This is the chain. Now, the belief you must install is this: I can be trained. That is the strongest belief any man can have because it makes failure useful. If you believe you can be trained, then setbacks become instruction instead of humiliation. Criticism becomes refinement instead of attack. Delay becomes preparation instead of punishment. A man who believes he can be trained does not break under pressure because he sees pressure as the gym. He uses it. The man who believes he is fixed breaks because he interprets every failure as identity. Identity shame destroys attitude because it makes you want to hide instead of improve. So adopt the training attitude. When something goes wrong, you do not collapse into, I am wrong. You say, my method needs correction. When a door closes, you do not say, I am rejected. You say, this direction needs adjustment. When a day goes poorly, you do not say, I'm a failure. You say, I will recover tomorrow. That language matters because it keeps you moving. Motion is the antidote to despair. Now, the next attitude you must build is patience with compounding. Most men have the wrong expectation of time. They want fast results from slow methods, and when results don't show quickly, they abandon the method. That is why they never compound. They keep restarting. They live in perpetual beginnings. Beginnings feel hopeful, but they don't produce mastery. Mastery requires time. Mastery is what gets paid. Mastery is what creates confidence. And confidence is the attitude that makes you act boldly. So you must learn to respect slow growth. Slow growth is strong growth. Anything that rises too fast without foundation is fragile. The man who understands this stops panicking about being late. He focuses on being solid. He uses time instead of fighting it. Fighting time is a losing battle. Using time is wisdom. When you use time, you stay consistent long enough for your efforts to multiply. Then suddenly, what looks slow becomes unstoppable. Now, the next attitude is gratitude without softness. Gratitude is not merely saying thank you. Gratitude is using what you already have instead of whining about what you don't have. A man with a grateful attitude finds resources in scarcity. He becomes creative. He becomes resourceful. He becomes sharp. A man with a resentful attitude becomes blind. He sees only what is missing. Then he becomes passive. Passivity is death to success. So train gratitude as action. Identify one advantage you still possess and apply it today. If you have time, invest it. If you have health, use it to work. If you have knowledge, apply it. If you have access to any tool or person, use it with respect. Gratitude expressed through action strengthens your attitude because it reminds you that you are not powerless. Powerlessness is a lie that kills ambition. Ambition needs power. Power begins with ownership and gratitude. Now, the next attitude is courage in decision. Many men have weak attitudes because they postpone decisions. They fear being wrong. They fear regret. So they stay in indecision. Indecision creates anxiety. Anxiety makes them feel trapped. That trapped feeling becomes bitterness. Then their attitude collapses. The cure is decisive action. Not reckless action, decisive action. Decisive action means you make a reasonable choice and then commit to it for a season. You don't reopen it every day. You execute. Execution creates feedback. Feedback creates improvement. Improvement creates confidence. Confidence strengthens attitude. It is a cycle. The man who waits for perfect certainty never enters the cycle. So he remains weak. Enter the cycle. Decide and move. Correct as you learn. That is strength. Now, you must also build the attitude of discipline over mood. Mood is unstable. If you act only when you feel like it, your progress will be random. Random progress produces random results. Random results weaken belief. Weak belief weakens attitude. That's why mood-driven men stay stuck. Discipline-driven men rise. So install this rule. The essential task is done daily, regardless of mood. The essential task is the one action that directly advances your purpose, your focused work block, your practice, your output. When you do that daily, you build self-trust. Self-trust is the foundation of confidence. Confidence is not loud. It is quiet certainty that you will follow through. That certainty is a strong attitude. Now, the next attitude is calm under provocation. Many men sabotage success because their attitude is easily offended. They react to every insult. They argue. They fight over trivial things. They ruin relationships and reputation. Reputation is capital. Capital opens doors. A man who destroys reputation with his mouth destroys his own future. So train calm. Calm is not silence. Calm is control. You pause before you speak. You choose your words. You refuse to be pulled into petty battles. You keep your energy for what matters. This is not weakness. It is strategic strength. Most men don't have it. That is why most men stay average. They waste their force on noise. Now, the next attitude is responsibility for improvement. This is crucial. A successful man does not demand that the world become easy. He demands that he become better. Improvement is the only reliable way forward. If you keep waiting for ideal conditions, you will remain waiting. The world does not care about your explanations. It responds to results. Results are produced by skill and discipline. So your attitude must be, I improve daily. Daily improvement does not mean huge change every day. It means one correction daily, one refinement, one lesson applied, one habit strengthened. Over time, that creates a new man. A new man creates a new life. This is how attitude becomes destiny. Now, you must also build the attitude of accountability. Accountability is not punishment. It is clarity. It means you track your behavior and see facts. Facts remove self-deception. Self-deception is one of the main reasons attitude stays weak. A man tells himself, I'm trying, but he doesn't know what he did. A man tells himself, I'm disciplined, but he breaks his word daily. A man tells himself, I'm unlucky, but he wastes time and calls it fate. Facts expose the truth. Truth gives you power because it shows you what to correct. So use a simple daily check. Did I do the essential task? Did I practice my skill? Did I control my speech and reactions? Did I steward my money and time? Did I close one loop? If yes, your attitude is being proven. If no, your attitude is talk. Talk doesn't build. Proof builds. Now, here is the deepest attitude shift. Stop treating failure as evidence that you are not meant for success. Treat failure as evidence that you are in the arena. Men who never fail are men who never attempt seriously. Failure is the tuition paid for mastery. If you fear tuition, you will never enroll. If you accept tuition, you will learn. Learning creates skill. Skill creates value. Value creates success. This is the law. So the right attitude toward failure is calm analysis. What happened? Why? What must change? What will I do next? Then you do it. No drama. Drama wastes time. Correction saves time. A man who can correct quickly will outpace the man who panics, even if the panicking man is talented. Talent is useless without attitude discipline. Now, a word about environment. Your attitude is shaped by what you repeatedly hear. If you live around complaint, you will complain. If you live around doubt, you will doubt. If you live around laziness, you will become lazy. You must protect your mental climate. This means you limit low-standard conversations. You avoid constant negativity. You choose strong influences, strong ideas, strong examples, strong principles. You don't need to hate anyone. You simply refuse to be trained by weakness. This is especially important because attitude is contagious. People borrow moods. They borrow fear. They borrow resentment. If you're not careful, you will spend your days absorbing other people's weakness. Then you will wonder why your mind feels heavy. Protect the mind. A protected mind stays clear. A clear mind acts better. Better actions create better results. Better results strengthen attitude. Now, in this third part, you must make a decision about who you're becoming. Are you a victim of circumstances or a student of life? Victims complain. Students learn. Victims wait. Students act. Victims resent. Students correct. Victims envy. Students build. You cannot become successful with a victim attitude because it gives away power. Success requires power, and power begins with ownership. So here is the final command of this part. Treat every day as training, not as punishment. Training. Training means you expect resistance and you use it. You expect boredom and you push through it. You expect delay and you stay consistent. You expect rejection and you refine your approach. You expect criticism and you extract what is useful. Training means you are not surprised by difficulty. You are prepared for it. And because you are prepared, you are calm. Calm is the signature of a strong attitude. Calm is what allows you to think, plan, and execute without panicking. Calm is what keeps you from quitting. Calm is what keeps you from making foolish emotional decisions. Calm is what makes you trustworthy. Trustworthy men are given more responsibility. Responsibility leads to larger opportunity. That is how attitude becomes success. So the attitude you must build is not a smile. It is a discipline, ownership, training mindset, patience with compounding, gratitude in action, decisive movement, daily essential work, calm response, daily improvement, accountability, and protection of your mental climate. Do these and your window clears. And when your window clears, you stop missing the openings that were always there. You start seeing, choosing, and holding success because your mind is finally fit for it. Now we complete the work by making your attitude permanent, because a temporary attitude is just a mood, and moods do not build success. You can feel strong for a week and still live weak for a year. You can feel inspired for a day and still waste the next 30. Success does not obey inspiration. Success obeys consistency. And consistency is the child of an attitude that has become a habit. So the final task is not to understand attitude. The final task is to install it as your default setting. Your default setting is what you return to when tired, stressed, or disappointed. That is the real you. If your default setting is complaint, you will always find a reason to stop. If your default setting is fear, you will always find a reason to hesitate. If your default setting is bitterness, you will always find a reason to blame. But if your default setting is ownership, you will always find a next step. That next step repeated becomes progress. Progress becomes proof. Proof becomes confidence. Confidence becomes bigger action. Bigger action becomes bigger results. That chain begins with default attitude. So here is the first rule of permanent attitude. You do not wait for your emotions to agree with your standards. You enforce standards anyway. Most men fail here. They want the feeling before the action, but the feeling comes after the action. Discipline creates confidence, not the other way around. So you must act first. You must do the essential work even when you don't feel like it. You must keep your word even when you're tired. You must stay calm even when provoked. You must correct even when embarrassed. That is the attitude of a successful man. Not comfort-driven, but standard-driven. Now, the second rule is this. You must stop giving your mind unearned authority. Your mind will suggest excuses constantly. It will say, not today. It will say, you deserve a break. It will say, it won't matter. It will say, you'll start tomorrow. Those thoughts are not commands. They are temptations. If you obey them, you train weakness. Weakness becomes your default. Then you wonder why you feel stuck. You feel stuck because you train stuckness. If you want success, you must retrain the response. When the mind offers excuses, you do not argue. You do not negotiate. You execute the plan. That execution is the proof that you govern yourself. And this brings us to the third rule. Your attitude must be expressed through structure. Structure is the bridge between intention and behavior. Without structure, your attitude is just a nice idea. So you need a daily structure that supports the success attitude. A protected block of focused work. A daily practice session that improves skill. A daily act of stewardship with time or money. A daily act of restraint that strengthens self-control. A weekly review that corrects leaks. This structure keeps your attitude from drifting because it gives it rails. A train without rails does not travel far. Your attitude needs rails. Now, the fourth rule. You must control your environment because environment shapes attitude. If you allow constant negativity around you, your mind will absorb it. If you allow weak standards around you, your standards will weaken. If you allow complaint and gossip to become your daily language, your mind will become poisoned. Then you will struggle to stay disciplined. Your discipline will feel like strain because you are fighting your environment. Stop doing that. Choose a stronger environment. That means you reduce exposure to habitual complainers. You do not stay in conversations that turn into blame. You do not feed your mind on discouragement. You choose stronger influences, ideas that sharpen you, examples that elevate you, principles that keep you anchored. You are not a victim of environment unless you choose to be. Choose better mental company, and your attitude becomes easier to maintain. Now, the fifth rule. You must control your mouth. Your speech is a steering wheel for your mind. If you speak defeat, you train defeat. If you speak doubt, you train doubt. If you speak complaint, you train complaint. This is not mystical. Your subconscious accepts repetition, so your speech must become disciplined. You speak in solutions. You speak in steps. You speak in responsibility. You do not speak in helplessness. This does not mean you never acknowledge pain. It means you do not worship pain. You acknowledge difficulty, then move to correction. This is hard, so I will do this. That is a strong attitude. Weak attitude stops that. This is hard. Strong attitude continues. Now, the sixth rule. You must stop taking everything personally. A personal attitude is fragile. It turns every setback into insult, every criticism into attack, every delay into humiliation. A fragile man cannot succeed because he is constantly wounded. Wounded men act defensively. Defensive men don't build boldly. They hesitate. They overthink. They avoid. They sabotage. The solution is to become objective. Objective means you treat events as information. If a plan fails, you study why. If a door closes, you ask what must change. If someone criticizes, you extract what is useful and discard the rest. If you are rejected, you improve method and try again. Objectivity removes drama. Drama is wasted energy. Wasted energy makes you tired. Tired men quit. Objective men adjust. Adjusting men rise. Now the seventh rule. You must develop a clear relationship with failure. Failure is not a verdict. It is tuition. Every serious success requires tuition. If you refuse tuition, you refuse success. So you stop treating failure as shame. You treat it as data. Data is useful. Data tells you what to correct. Correcting moves you forward. This attitude makes you resilient. Resilience is the ability to recover quickly. Quick recovery is rare. That rarity becomes advantage. So you adopt a rule. When you fail, you recover fast. No long shame. No week of drifting. No collapse. You review, correct, and return to the standard the next day. This is how you build permanent attitude. You don't allow setbacks to change your identity. You allow setbacks to refine your method. Now, the eighth rule. You must build patience with compounding. Compounding is the law that makes small daily efforts produce big results later. Most men never compound because they quit too early. They want big results from small time. They don't respect growth. So you must respect the invisible phase. The invisible phase is when you're building skill, discipline, reputation, and trust without immediate reward. Weak men interpret it as wasted time. Strong men interpret it as investment. When you adopt that interpretation, impatience decreases. You stop panicking. Panic is the enemy of success because panic makes you make foolish decisions. Panic makes you chase shortcuts. Shortcuts cost more later. So you commit to the process. You do the work daily. You let time multiply it. That is a mature attitude. Now, the ninth rule. You must practice gratitude as an action, not as a sentiment. Sentimental gratitude changes little. Active gratitude changes everything. Active gratitude means you use what you have instead of complaining about what you lack. It means you find advantage in constraint. It means you turn limited resources into creativity. It means you treat your current position as training instead of as punishment. That attitude makes you resourceful. Resourceful men succeed because they can move under pressure. So each day, identify one resource you have and use it with discipline. Time, health, knowledge, opportunity, relationship, tool, access, use it. That trains power. Power builds confidence. Confidence strengthens attitude. Now, the 10th rule. You must become a finisher. A good attitude is not proven by intention. It is proven by completion. Completion builds self-trust. Self-trust is the foundation of confidence. If you keep starting and not finishing, you train the subconscious to believe you are unreliable. Then you feel uncertain and anxious. Anxiety weakens attitude. Finish to kill anxiety. So finish tasks. Close loops. Follow through. Do not leave important things half done. A finisher becomes respected because finishing is rare. That respect translates into more opportunity. Opportunity is success's door. Finishers walk through doors because they are trusted. Now, you might be thinking this is strict. It is. Success is strict because it is selective. It selects the men who can govern themselves. Self-government is attitude in action. Self-government means you can control thought, speech, emotion, and behavior. It means you are not easily pulled off course. That is why self-government is the foundation of wealth and achievement. A man who cannot govern himself cannot govern money, cannot govern a business, cannot govern a team, cannot govern a household. He will be governed by impulse. Impulse is chaos. Chaos destroys success. So the final step is to set a daily standard you refuse to violate. Not 10 standards. 1. For example, the daily focused work block happens no matter what, or no complaining without correction, or no emotional spending. Choose one and enforce it for 30 days. That single and four standard will strengthen your attitude because it proves you can command yourself. Once you can command yourself, you can command outcomes through sustained action. Outcomes follow cause. Cause is behavior. Behavior is attitude expressed through discipline. And here's what will happen when you do this. Your inner life will become quieter. You will stop feeling like a victim of the day. You will stop being pulled by every mood. You will start noticing opportunities you used to miss because your mind is clearer. You will handle rejection better because you interpret it as feedback. You will stop panicking about delays because you trust compounding. You will become calmer, more reliable, more disciplined. People will begin to trust you more. Trust leads to bigger opportunities. Bigger opportunities produce bigger results. And the whole time, it will feel less like struggle because you are no longer fighting yourself. That is the outcome of permanent attitude. Not a perfect life, but a powerful life. A life where you respond instead of react. A life where you correct instead of complain. A life where you persist instead of quit. A life where you finish instead of drift. A life where you govern the mind instead of letting the mind govern you. Your attitude is the window. Keep it clean daily. Clean windows. Let light in. Light reveals paths. Paths lead to action. Action produces success. This is not a mystery. It is a decision repeated until it becomes who you are. Now, stop searching for some secret outside yourself. There is no secret that replaces the attitude you refuse to discipline. If you want success, the first victory is not over the world. It is over your own mind. Your attitude is the window, and the world you experience is shaped by what that window allows you to see. A dirty window makes you believe the day is darker than it is. A clear window makes you see openings, options, and next steps that were always there. The difference is not luck. The difference is clarity. So here is your final command. You will not let your attitude be an accident. You will run it like a man runs his affairs, with rules, with standards, and with daily proof. A man who leaves his attitude to circumstance will live at the mercy of circumstance. A man who governs his attitude will begin to govern outcomes because his actions will become consistent. Consistent actions create predictable results. Predictable results create confidence. Confidence creates larger action. Larger action creates success. This is the chain, and it begins where most men refuse to begin, inside. You must stop treating negativity as honesty. Many men hide their weak attitude behind the word honest. They say they are just being realistic. But what they call realism is often fear-talking. Fear is not realism. Fear is an emotion demanding authority. A realistic man sees facts and then responds with method. A fearful man sees facts and then collapses into story. A realistic man says, "This is the situation, so here is the next step." A fearful man says, "This is the situation, so it's over." One attitude produces motion. The other produces stagnation. Stagnation is death to success. Your attitude must become operational. Operational means it produces action. It does not sit in the mind as talk. It does not become a speech you repeat. It becomes behavior. The quickest way to prove you have a success attitude is to do what successful men do even when it is inconvenient. Work without being watched. Keep your word without being forced. Stay calm without being praised. And correct yourself without being humiliated into change. Those behaviors are not personality traits. They are choices. Repeated choices become habits. Habits become identity. Identity becomes destiny. So the final standard is this. Every day you produce evidence. One piece of evidence that you are governed and not drifting. One piece of evidence that you are responsible and not blaming. One piece of evidence that you are disciplined and not emotional. This evidence can be simple, but it must be real. Finish one task you would normally postpone. Do one focused work block without interruption. Save money when you want to spend. Hold your tongue when you want to react. Correct a mistake immediately instead of hiding it. Improve one small part of your skill. Close one loop. One daily. This daily evidence cleans the window more than any talk ever could. Now understand why this works. Your subconscious mind does not believe your promises. It believes your patterns. If your pattern is delay, it will train delay. If your pattern is complaint, it will train complaint. If your pattern is quitting, it will train quitting. But if your pattern is follow-through, it will train follow-through. Once follow-through becomes your pattern, you become confident without trying to be confident. Confidence becomes the natural result of being reliable with yourself. That kind of confidence is quiet and heavy. It cannot be shaken easily because it is earned, not borrowed. This is also why you must stop feeding your mind with helpless interpretations. Helpless interpretations turn problems into prisons. A man says, "This always happens to me," and he trains himself to expect defeat. A man says, "I'm behind," and he trains himself to rush and become sloppy. A man says, "It's too late," and he trains himself to stop. These interpretations are not harmless. They are direction. You must replace them with builder interpretations. Builder interpretations don't deny facts. They direct energy. They say, what is the lesson? What is the next step? What can I control? What can I improve? These questions keep you moving. Movement creates momentum. Momentum makes the path feel possible. Now, you must accept the responsibility of emotional control. Many men destroy their future in moments of emotion. One angry statement can cost years of trust. One impulsive decision can create months of repair. One bitter reaction can ruin an alliance. A man with a dirty window sees every challenge as an insult and reacts. A man with a clear window sees challenge as part of the process and responds. Response is calm. Reaction is wild. Wild men don't win long term because they can't be trusted. Trust is your greatest asset. Protect it by controlling your mouth, your spending, and your decisions in emotional moments. You must also stop making excuses a normal language. Excuses are not harmless. Excuses become identity. A man who constantly explains why he couldn't do something trains himself to expect failure. Then he begins failing more because failure becomes familiar. If you want success, stop explaining and start correcting. Correction is the language of winners. Winners don't waste time defending weakness. They eliminate it. They adjust the system. They return to the standard. That is the difference. Now, make your attitude durable by building patience with compounding. Compounding is the law that rewards consistent effort over time. Many people quit before compounding pays because they demand quick proof. Quick proof is rare in meaningful work. Meaningful work grows underground first. That unseen growth is where discipline is built. If you keep interrupting the process because you don't see immediate results, you will stay in the shallow end of life. Depth requires time. Depth produces strength. Strength produces long-term success that doesn't collapse when conditions change. So you commit to the process for a season, not for a day, not for a week, a season. You execute daily. You measure adherence, not applause. You ask, did I do what I said I would do? If yes, you're winning even if the world hasn't paid yet. Payment follows production, and production follows discipline. This is law. Trust law more than mood. Now, guard your environment. Your mind becomes like what it repeatedly touches. If you stay around complaint and weakness, you will have to fight those influences daily. That fight will exhaust you. Instead, protect your mental climate. Spend less time in low-standard talk. Spend more time with strong ideas and disciplined examples. Choose conversations that sharpen you. Choose work that strengthens you. A clear window is easier to maintain when you stop rubbing dirt on it every day. And here is the last point that makes everything hold. You must stop identifying with your past. Many men carry an attitude shaped by old mistakes and old disappointments. They keep rehearsing who they used to be. That rehearsal keeps the window dirty because it convinces the mind that tomorrow must look like yesterday. That is false. Tomorrow looks like what you build today. Your past is information, not identity. Use it as instruction and leave it behind. A man who drags yesterday into every decision will always hesitate. A man who learns and moves forward becomes free. So from this moment, you live by one principle. My attitude is my responsibility. No one else can maintain it for you. No one else can clean the window for you. You clean it with daily evidence, disciplined interpretation, controlled speech, controlled spending, calm decisions, and consistent work. You will not wait for life to become easy. You will become stronger. You will not demand perfect conditions. You will create order inside imperfect conditions. And you will not complain about the time it takes. You will respect the time it takes because time, used correctly, builds a man. When you do this long enough, success stops feeling random. It starts feeling logical. You stop being surprised by your progress because your progress becomes predictable. You put in the right causes and you expect the right effects. You stop begging the world to change because you change the one thing that changes everything, the attitude through which you live. That is the final victory. You don't win by hoping. You win by governing. You win by choosing an attitude that produces action and repeating it until it becomes your nature. And once it becomes your nature, success is no longer a question of whether it will come. It becomes a question of when, because the window is finally clear and the path is finally visible.